Hey, what's going on guys? Welcome back to another video. This is vlog number 3 and we're talking about 5 stretches that you should be doing to help you squat deeper. Roll that intro. So why should we work on squatting deeply? Well, it's the most primal movement a human being can do. If you look at 3/4 of the world, they spend most of their time in this position. So for us not to be using this position, or for us not to have this position in our movement repertoire, we're doing ourselves a massive disservice because it releases a lot of tension and there are so many benefits to squatting deeply. Most of us just want to improve our range of motion when it comes to performing compound movements and other forms of basic primal movements. However, because of the tightness that we have due to our current daily habits, we don't have that capacity. A lot of people think that squatting deeply causes knee pain. Now, if you don't have the capacity to squat deeply with your back completely neutral and your hips fully relaxed and your calves touching your hamstrings, you're gonna have all sorts of problems. When we don't have the capacity to actually go into the movement, that's where we start seeing all the issues, and that's when we start feeling that knee pain that we're talking about. So how do we try and change that? The best way possible that I know of, and through my own personal experience, is through stretching. Now, for most people, stretching is not considered a priority in the gym. Most people will come into the gym to just train and get out as soon as possible. However, you have to actually dedicate some sessions to purely on stretching and focusing on improving that range of motion of the body. The other thing about stretching is it allows us to increase the capacity to relax more. We know that if you are in a relaxed state and not tense all the time, then you can exert more force whenever we want to apply that to something. Just look at cats, for example. Most of the time cats are spending their lives relaxed and just grooming their body. And that single moment you go over to it and you piss it off, then you see all the muscles contracting and everything just comes out. That's when you have that hairy ball of just pure fury. And that instant you leave it alone, it goes back to its relaxed state. Okay, so for the gym session today, I'm going to be going over a leg session. I'm going to be doing squats, some lunges, and some Jefferson curls. And joining me in this session will be my 2 friends, Julia and Jade. And this will be a great way of showing you guys the different levels of mobility and flexibility that the 3 of us have between us. And you'll see how these stretches are great for people that are extremely tight in the hip areas. Okay, so the first stretch we're going to be covering is the wall squat. Now with this, we're not trying to slide our back against the wall into a squat. We're actually going to be lying on the ground and placing our feet on the wall. So to get into position, the easiest way I found is to place one of your butt cheeks as close to the wall as possible and then roll over so that your back is flat against the ground and both of your legs are in front of you on the wall. Place your feet about hip width apart, place your elbows in between the inside of your knees. From here, we want to apply a light bit of pressure on the inside of our knees. For most of you, just placing those elbows between the knees will be more than enough in terms of intensity. You'll notice that after a while, the pain will subside. The goal here is to try and yield to the pain of the stretch. Make sure that your breathing is deep, and as you exhale, you are relaxing the body and softening the belly. Now, a good way of measuring how deep your squat is to see how close your knees are to your chest. The wider the knees are, the looser the hip flexors are and the external rotation in your hips. And just as a finisher, it's good to just bring the knees together and press them against the chest, which helps relax the hips and prepare for the next stretch. So in terms of time, anything between 2 to 5 minutes is a great time to spend in this stretch. So the next thing we're going to be performing is the wall straddle. So stay in the wall squat, bring the legs in front of you, straighten them, and then allow the heels to fall down to the side of the wall. And use the action of gravity on the heels to bring your legs down. Don't forcefully pull the heels down, and just embrace the stretch. Again, you want to make sure everything is soft, you are breathing deeply, and as you exhale, you are softening the belly. The other thing that you might experience with a wall straddle is a bit of discomfort or pain in the inside of your knees. Now, if you do get this, then you're more than welcome to bend the knees a bit more. But realistically, you're going to get a small amount of discomfort in that area. And I would just recommend that you ride it out and you don't forcefully press the back of your knees onto the wall. I'm not too rigid about the time that you spend in the stretch, but in an ideal world, we want to spend as much time as possible in the stretches that we perform. However, because of time restraints and busy lifestyles, we don't necessarily get the right amount of time for the stretches. So it's down to you how much you want to give yourself for the stretches and how much you have during the daytime to spend on the stretches. Next, we're going to be performing the tailor pose with the back against the wall. Now, as I mentioned in a previous video, I was going to go into more detail with this stretch. And I remembered that it was a great way of improving the external rotation of the hips, which goes a long way to helping us squat deeply. And that's why I'm including it in this video. To get into this stretch, you want to go onto the side of your feet and then slide the back against the wall and try and squat down. The goal here is to make sure the heels are as close to the crotch as possible. The closer they are, the deeper the stretch is going to feel. So if you have to reset and just move the heels a couple of inches backwards or forward, then by all means do that. Finally, once you're in position, try and wiggle the hips back and forth and side to side so you can get deeper into the stretch and feel more comfortable. So for the tailor pose, we're going to be performing 3 contractions. So for the first contraction, you're going to take a deep breath in and you're going to press the heels and the soles of your feet firmly against each other. Hold that for 5 seconds, and when you exhale, relax the hips. Next, you're going to place the palms underneath your knees, and we're going to try and press the knees together with some gentle pressure from the palms. However, your goal here is to try and use your glutes to resist that. By doing this, you should feel a strong stretch on the outside of your hips, so around the piriformis area and the glutes. Next, we're going to place the palms on the top of your knees, and here we want to try and keep the elbows straight. So if you have to shrug the shoulders, then do that. Take a deep breath in and hold your breath for 5 seconds, and this time we're going to press the knees down with our palms. And then we're going to use our hip flexors to push our knees back into our palms. So with this, you're going to feel a strong stretch in the hip flexors and the psoas muscles. And finally, we're going to keep our shoulders shrugged, and this time round, we're going to press the knees down using our palms for 5 seconds. And just by doing these contractions, you'll notice that your hips will be a lot lower than you started off. And this is just the beauty of PNF stretching. And again, all these are based on Kit Laughlin's method. I'll put the link down below in the description so that you guys can check out his work. Next is the squash frog stretch. For this one, we are placing our knees on the ground and we are just basically reversing the tailor pose. So as mentioned in a previous video, you can either have your toes on the inside of your hips or you can actually keep your knees at 90 degrees. Either way is fine, but it's all down to preference and the pressure that you feel on the knees. Some people feel pain on the knees if the knees are kept at 90 degrees, so I would just recommend bringing the heels in a bit. So the thing with this stretch is you're going to feel a little discomfort. It should be mild, and if it's too much pain then just ease off a bit and try and bring the hips a little higher. And again, we're going to start off with just moving our hips from side to side, forward and back. That way we go deeper into the stretch and it allows us to relax more into the stretch as well. So from here, we're going to perform our first contraction. So you're going to take a deep breath in, and from here you're going to press your knees into the ground and try and slide them together through the ground. By doing this, you'll feel a really deep stretch around the outside of your hips and maybe the groin. And as you exhale, fully relax the hips and see if you can go deeper into the stretch. Now for those of you that have got really tight hips, this stretch may feel really uncomfortable, and if that's the case, then by all means reduce the intensity by keeping the hips a lot higher. Now for most of you, the first contraction will be more than enough, but if you want to go deeper into the stretch, then you can place your forearms onto the ground and perform the same contraction again. And again, we're just going to move our hips from side to side, forward and back, so that we're getting deeper into the stretch and we're softening the body. And to exit the stretch, just slide your body forward and bring your legs together. And finally, just as a bonus stretch, we're going to be stretching the outside of our ankles. One thing I've noticed with a lot of people that perform squats, and especially when you're trying to go below 90 degrees, is that the ankles will cave on the inside. And that's a good sign that your ankles are quite tight, and which may be one of the reasons why you are restricted in the depth of your squat. So for this drill, we're just basically going to be turning one of our ankles to the outside, and we're just gently pulsing up and down with our opposite leg, just so that we're getting deeper into the actual stretch. Now just by doing this pulse, you should feel a really nice stretch in the outside of your ankles. Just make sure that the surface that you are doing this on is quite soft. So make sure you're using some sort of mat or you're wearing shoes. So for the first contraction, you're just going to bring your hips back into normal alignment, and then you're going to press the outside of your foot into the ground. By doing this, you're going to feel a really strong stretch on the outside of your ankle, and it might even go up into the tibialis anterior, which is the outside of your lower leg. And then slowly bring the ankle back to its neutral position. If you need to shake it off, and then repeat on the opposite side. So that's pretty much it for these stretches. Try them out and let me know how they go for you, and let me know if you see any improvement in your depth. That's it for this video, guys. Hopefully you've learned something that you can apply to your own training. Let me know how your progression goes by leaving a comment down below in the comment section. Plus, if you know anyone that you think that this video may be beneficial to, then make sure to share this video also. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.